This is Raven Radio, and today I'm joined by...
CWG Wolf, or Wolf for short.
I like making games. I just never get to play them in any interesting fashion. I make games for all sorts of things. I have a few that I do regularly. I make games. They're close to tabletop RPGs, but I generally don't put stats or dice or any sort of gamified mechanic behind them unless I need something for fairness. They're less D&D and more kids at the playground coming up with ideas. And I have two main games that I like to play. One is called Wizard Wars, which I need to play some more, but not a lot of people know historical wizards. The other one is called Ascension. It is a very generic, simple game in that I will be playing the Game Master. I will be making a world off the top of my head. I have planned for nothing besides knowing the genre, which I was told an hour ago. I am doing this all off of the cuff. Everything you will see today is going to be pure improv on my and Wolf's end. Wolf will be taking the role of the player and a character. What that character is will be decided shortly. What the setting even fully is will be decided shortly based on what the character Wolf decides to play is. Any randomness will be in the form of a choice of A, B, C, D, etc. The player will still choose their option, they simply will not know what option they are getting. If, however, it is something the player should know the options they are getting, I will give them options, and I will give them lore and descriptions, and they will make choices based off of what they think both them and their character should do. I am not here to kill his character. I am not even here to put him in any specific situation. I am here to facilitate the continued existence of the game. I am here to generate world, I am here to generate characters, I am here to generate encounters, but the specific types is decided by how his character acts and how he as a player describes things. So if he describes people as nice, I will make them more nice. If he describes them as mean, I will lean into that and make them more mean. If I describe something that I don't think is terrifying that he describes back as terrifying, I will start making it terrifying. If he finds something scary, I will make it scary. If he finds something enjoyable, I will make it enjoyable. His last version of this, by the way, ended with him just being a normal clothier in a fantasy city. And he's learning how actual clothiers work, how to make textiles, how to use textiles. I can go in depth for a lot of things. This is one of the few things where my random grab bag of 1,000 bits of tiny knowledge is key. I will not always get something scientifically or mechanically accurate, but I will always tell it in at least a...
entertaining way? And as accurate as you can?
In an entertaining way, as accurate as I can, and more importantly, an engaging way. I will give you things to do, places to be, things to think about, rather than just telling a story on my own.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to start off strong with A, B, or C.
Let's go with C!
Okay. You are a long-haul shipper. You don't work for any sort of corporation or government. You just own a beat-up old ship that has a large enough cargo hold that you can make the travel between planets, and if given enough fuel in backlog galaxies, and you just transport goods. You've been doing this for a good couple years now.
All right.
That being said, piracy is on the rise. There have been recent acquisitions of galaxies that were, until recently, out of distance for fuel consumption reasons, but because they are now within reachable range due to new advancements in the higher-end ships, there has been a glut of small nation states and large empires alike rushing to grab as much land as possible. But that doesn't concern you. Your job is to ship from station to station. You are currently docked on a station orbiting a sun in its Goldilocks belt with no other planets around this specific star. It is a young star. It is not particularly warm, so the Goldilocks belt is fairly small. You are currently on... It's not even an asteroid. It's just a slab of iron with a grav generator and enough of an air envelope to breathe. And, like, 4 buildings, 2 of which are the shipmaster and the quartermaster for the port itself, one of which is a bar. This is as close to a truck stop as you could get in space.
Okay.
You do have cargo in your hold. It is not set aside for any specific route. It's just shit you bought on the cheap and can be sold for slightly more.
Apologies. You mentioned there's basically a bar. There's the quartermaster.
The quartermaster, the dockmaster, a bar, and what might be a private manufactory. It doesn't have a sign, and it's a rather large building connected to a massive warehouse.
Okay.
There are a few other warehouses. I say warehouses. Shipping containers that have been moored to the dock.
Yeah.
Most of these are larger than your whole ship and look to have just been dumped by some of the bigger haulers.
Okay. So, I on my ship have some smaller cargo that I bought for cheap to sell for possibly more.
Yep. It's basically just a bunch of scrap from other ships or ore from a mining planet. It's worth enough in manufacturing for a manufactory world that you could sell it at a profit if you bought it at a place where you got it for cheap. But it is not, unless you want to get into manufacturing, which on the scale needed for doing anything this grand would be like a plot of land the size of a small city. It's worth pretty much nothing to you.
Got it. Well, as I was about to say, I'm gonna head over to the quartermaster.
Okay. You walk up to the quartermaster's office. It's like a small post office, and it's just a dude sitting in a chair, half asleep, legs up on the desk. He's asleep.
Yeah.
Anything you want to do is on you. He's asleep. There's nothing to this place besides a small fan that isn't doing shit because the air envelope doesn't move all that much, and a small radiator for heat that isn't on because it's never going to be that cold.
Enter in the office, I kind of knock on the door. Slow day.
Yeah, I'm awake. What? Oh, hello. What the fuck are you doing here?
Well, for one, kind of...
Shit shower shaves across the street, so unless you're bringing something to me specific, why the fuck are you here?
Noticed a lot of cargo out there that people have dropped off. Does anything need to go anywhere in particular?
No, most of it's repair shit for here that we don't use until it's necessary.
Fair enough. Initially just came here to refuel before heading back out. Maybe get a bite to eat. Wanted to check if there's anything that needed transporting.
Not here. Not unless you got a pound of plutonium for the reactor. You do, technically.
Context, Okay.
But it's currently set aside for your trip.
Yeah. That's what I had a feeling it was.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I don't have anything of that degree. Not that I could spare, at least.
Yeah, fair enough. Again, I ain't got shit jobs for you. If I did, I'd have sent a request to a nearby settlement. The lady who runs the... It's just a fucking bar. The lady who runs the bar is one who handles most of the truckers who come in.
Alright.
I got shit to sell, technically, if you got money, but I ain't got money to buy shit, and I ain't willing to do trade. So unless you got actual money, I ain't got shit. You know, this is pretty common for stops like this, that they have a load of cargo that has been sitting there for long enough that they just have marked it as for sale, but they don't need anything, so they're not willing to trade and only willing to sell it for actual money. It's also sadly common for shippers to not have any money on them and only have cargo worth money until they get to a place to sell it, and then they drink up for a few days, and then they get a new cargo and move on to the next place.
Well, apologies about interrupting your nap.
Yeah, you're good. Can I go back to fucking sleep?
Starts walking away and just kind of backhand waves.
He kicks his feet up and doesn't remember that you were ever there.
And I head towards the bar.
Okay. As you enter the bar, a small radio starts crackling to life. This is a pretty common station that's boosted across most of the way. It's the equivalent to American country music. This specific album was given out free to almost every radio station. There is also, however, a controversy about this album because a lot of it is, well, a lot of empires don't like some of what it says.
Fair enough.
There's an old tall radio in the back and a bar and stairs upstairs to simple pressure showers, which you swear to God will rip your skin off one of these days. You'll get clean in 0.2 seconds and lose half your skin to it. And probably a single cryopod for emergencies and just like 4 or 5 rooms for bunks. Almost no one will ever take a bunk in a place like this. They'd prefer to sleep in their ship.
I mean, yeah, and comfortability and familiarity.
Oh.
Not to mention, places like this are far out there. Something happened to you, not likely to ever get resolved.
Yep. And behind the bar is a little old lady. I say little old lady. She's 5'2" and definitely not old, but definitely not young. And she looks at you like you just spoiled her milk. Can I do you for, kid?
Well, for starters, love a meal.
Meals come with the rooms, or the drinks. I don't care what you buy. You do have enough money to stay at any of these stops. It's just a level of scale between buying cargo and buying a meal.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of what drink I would end up getting.
Well, we got grog and beer. The grog is just watered down shitty wine with a bunch of spices added so you can't taste the shitty wine, and the beer is just pre-processed food bricks put in water till they start bubbling. But both will get you fucking drunk.
Well, I guess I'll take a beer and some food.
Alright. She reaches under the counter, literally pulls out a package of a pre-packaged ration, and dumps it in a bottle or in a glass of water. You know the taste of this water too. It's gonna be stale and reprocessed 1,000 times over. And you know exactly what these bricks taste like. It tastes like a protein-rich saltine. If someone took all of the flavor out of peanut butter, but they saved your ass more than a couple of times because one of those is a full fucking meal. And you know that when exposed to water, very quickly they go bad. But that going bad is the only flavor you can get out of them, so a lot of people will let them rot slightly to get that alcohol taste. It's not uncommon practice to make a quote-unquote beer like this, but it always comes out just tasting like strong alcohol and a very thick paste of whatever the least flavorful thing you can think of is. The other thing she sets is a silver foil ration. These are not high-end rations, but they at least have some flavor. These would be equivalent to a modern-day MRE. They're designed to be shipped, they're designed to be sent, but they're at least appetizing enough to boost morale. It's what you eat most days, but generally getting them in a place like this means that they can heat them properly rather than using a quick heat package. And you watch as she pulls it apart, rips open a can, dumps it out onto the very, very spongy bread, spreads it along, and you realize this is a pizza one. So cheese is spread on top, and then she puts it into what is basically a microwave oven. It's a small little heat box with a heating element, not much different to what we have nowadays. It's just slightly more energy efficient, and even that's just because it's cheaper to make energy efficient than it is to make bulky. Which also means it's even worse at cooking shit all the way through. But you get a slab of what is technically pizza. It also comes with literal candied nuts, which is just nuts coated in not even sugar anymore. The most common variety is sugar of Saturn, but most places won't serve you that directly because it's not good for you. Those of you who don't know, sugar of Saturn is lead, but it is also a very efficient sweetening agent. It's also piss easy to make en masse. And the nuts themselves are not a type you know. It's somewhere between grape nuts and like double-sized almonds, and it's been doused in this case, it's probably a synthetic sugar because it doesn't have the specific alcohol taste that sugar Saturn does. And along with that, you get your glass of quote-unquote beer, and she thumbs at one of the tables and goes back to cleaning. It's not bad. It's got some actual meat in it. Lab-grown most likely, but it's at least actual meat. And the beer is the beer you're used to.
And as mentioned earlier, probably a pretty slow day overall. Not many people here.
You're the first person I've seen in 3 weeks.
Yeah, really slow day.
This is a good day for me until you showed up. And as long as you don't make trouble, it's still a good day for me, but I never know with you folks.
I can be kind of unpredictable.
No, the last guy who came in wrecked the fucking place. He was one of them big ones. Not a native of a different type, just the modded ones that are massive because they're used to carry shit. They mod all the brains out of it.
Yeah.
We call them bulls around here, but I know it's not what they're legally called.
I mean, it kind of fits. I just call them muscleheads.
Muscleheads ain't a good one, or ain't a bad one. We call them bulls because they're bulls in a fucking china shop. Where the hell that phrase came from, I don't know. But it's been around long enough. So far, everyone you've met, by the way, are, at least from view, purebred Terrans. Not uncommon, Terrans are resilient motherfuckers. There have been several attempts to eradicate Terrans off of multiple galaxies, and it never fucking works. They breed much faster than almost every other what are called natives, and are fucking resilient when it comes to fighting.
I say this as an absolute joke because of the description given here. They're just the humanoid versions of cockroaches.
No, humans are just cockroaches. If you want to actually know about science, humans are just fucking cockroaches that's developed brains. We are very good at surviving.
Some might say differently.
Yeah. The Tumblr version of this is humans are space orcs. You are considered rude and brutish and inelegant by many, and squishy and ineffective by others. There are a few who are better at fighting directly than you are. Some of the bigger natives and some of the smaller natives even are way better at fighting than humans, but no one is better at winning fights than Terrans. There are also a couple of classes of Terrans. You have never met the other class of Terrans, which are called homeworlders. They are settlers on a world on any world that lock themselves away and do not acknowledge the others. Actual Terra, is a homeworld, and if you tried to step foot on Terra, you would probably be shot before you ever entered orbit. The idea of reaching Sol 3 is laughable to most Terrans. Fuck, the idea of reaching Sol 9, which isn't even a planet anymore, is laughable to Terrans.
Sol 9 isn't even a planet anymore. Okay.
You would know Sol 9 is Pluto.
Okay. I actually did not know that, but glad to know that now.
Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto? Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. That is 1 to 9 in the Sol system.
Gotcha.
It's the actual classification of our planets. It's from closest to the sun to farthest from the sun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I just kind of brained out for that entire IRL classification for Pluto.
Yeah, Pluto.
There's still arguments about Pluto being a planet or not. It hasn't
Pluto's
been fully...
smaller than Pluto is smaller than our moon and does not have a truly elliptical orbit. It's not a planet. It sucks that it's not a planet because a lot of people growing up knew it was a planet, but it's not a planet. By all classifications of planets, if we count it as a planet, several other asteroids are also planets in the same belt that Pluto is in.
Okay.
There are bigger asteroids in the belt Pluto is in than Pluto.
Okay.
But in the same way where you and I now grew up knowing it as a planet, it's still considered to be Sol 9. It's also the source of the Iron Wall of Sol, which is any closer to the Sol system and you are going to be blown away by the imperial might of the homeworld Terrans.
Okay.
The only other time you would potentially meet a homeworld Terran is if you find a derelict pilgrim ship, which is just anywhere from 10 to 1 billion Terrans shoved into cryosleep and sent at a even remotely habitable planet to claim it for the homeworlds. Every other section of space is more reasonably maintained than just send dudes out and claim it for themselves. And a lot of what used to be homeworlds have joined the normal galactic economy instead of the homeworlds. But any single one of them will never talk about what it was like living in a homeworld. They, for all intents and purposes, are naturalized Terrans.
Okay.
In all likelihood, at some point in your family's history, you were a homeworlder, but it would be far enough back that you don't even know what the fuck planet your original family landed on.
Yeah, that sounds about right. After finishing eating and everything, it probably just takes me a little bit as I'm listening to the radio.
Yep.
So, quartermaster outside said you might have some work that could be done.
I mean, can you fix an air generator or a grav pulse? Otherwise, if you want to head out 3 systems, we could use another shipment of food.
Air generator depends. The grab system, I could take a look.
All right, because our air filtration is still working, but it's ancient. It's older than I am. And our grav pulse is, and it's at this point that you feel lighter all of a sudden. Not an unusual type of lighter because you're used to a grav generator going out. The one in your ship is not very consistent. And you know how to brace yourself so you don't float out of your chair. And then it kicks back on and you feel yourself sucked to the floor again.
On the fritz?
Yeah, that. She's also obviously used to this because she immediately hooks an arm under her bar and just holds herself there. You don't even see her flinch when it comes back on.
I myself didn't even flinch, as I'm assuming the chairs are bolted to the ground.
Yep, almost everything is built into the building.
Yeah, so I didn't hook myself to prevent myself floating up, but like, I floated up a little bit.
Yep,
and I'm just still cross-legged.
You tensed your legs slightly so that you still had a hold on the lip of the chair, but you didn't care all that much.
I can see what I can do with it. It's anything like the one on my ship, which probably isn't, but probably also similar in the problem.
All right. She's like, all right, it's back in the, the unmarked one? That's our, technically, engineer's house, but we haven't had an engineer in 30 years. That's also where the grav and the air is. If you fucking bust it, obviously you're gonna suffocate first. So, don't fuck with it too much if you don't know what you're doing.
Certainly. As I head over to the location described.
You walk 5 feet out of the door and turn, and it's one of the 3 other buildings. The door is wide open, and you can see that it's pretty much a bunk, a furnace for temperature regulation that is probably burning either some form of petrol fuel or, more likely, a recycled biomass fuel, in which case it's probably people who have died here. You don't see any farms, so any biofuel would come from meat. Other than that, you see very common sight for you, which is a grav generator. It's a small blue orb with a bunch of spinning circles around it, each one with a disc on it in opposite directions, pulling forces out of the blue orb. And as they spin, those forces are equalized to generalize gravity down. The further you get away from this object, the less gravity is, and the more free-floating you are. It's not uncommon for people to try not to live anywhere near a grav generator because the difference in pressure could legitimately make many people sick, which leads to the other half. Right next to the grav generator is a giant fucking tank of green. You know that this is a bioorganic air filtration system. It's algae, maybe, in water, with just a massive pump and filter system to pull air out of this very thin bubble created by the gravity itself into the filter to recycle carbon dioxide and get out any basic pollutants and then shove it back out into the bubble created by the gravity. It's not unlike what you have on your ship, except on your ship, each component is able to be held in your hand. Here, each component is taller than you are. The other thing is that your ship uses its hull as an envelope, meaning you do not need to generate nearly as much gravity as this generator needs to hold in order to create atmosphere.
The device the blue orb is resting on, I'm assuming it's a kind of like podium with mechanical podium.
Nope, it's floating in the center.
Okay, floating in the center.
It's floating in the center of a bunch of moving rings.
Okay.
If you've ever seen a gyroscope, it's like a gyroscope where it's the thing in the center is being held stably because the rings are moving.
Gotcha.
There is a disc at the bottom that is constantly pulling, with a thin blue line constantly going downwards, which you know is the direction choice for the grav generator, and the rest is just to stabilize the gravity.
Okay.
Because if it was just pulling down, you wouldn't be able to move forward and backward while walking. You would simply stand there. Or more accurately, for one this size, you would be crushed under your own weight as all of the force from this, whatever this is, you've never been explained what the core of a grav generator is. You just know that it creates...
Like a pancake.
Yeah, you just know that it creates a force similar enough to gravity that it can be used in the same way as actual natural gravity.
Mm-hmm. Well, without seeing when it malfunctions, I don't think I can, possibly pinpoint what might be the issue. I head into the hut and inspect more of the, filtration system.
The filtration system's pretty obviously got a simple problem. It needs a new filter. It's just a mesh of synth cloth of various sizes that you slot into a mesh the size of like a 5x5 panel that you just pull out and slot in at the exhaust section. It's just a bigger version of an AC filter. You know, there are better versions using ionic beads and various chemical dopes for it, but this is probably just a pure synth thread mesh with a charcoal core.
I say this semi-jokingly. Do I have one of those required for it on my ship?
You go back to your ship, and you start sifting through the junk from old ships, and you have 4 smaller ones that might make up the size of a big one, but they're also used. They're not nearly as used as the big one, but they are they are filters out of ships that have been scrapped. You have 1 spare small one that you have set aside for your filter to change, and you could use that in place of one of the 4 used ones, and it might work a little better, but it's going to take a little bit of finagling to bolt them all together in such a way that they hold tight.
I take note of that and head back to the bar to end up talking with the lady in there, barkeep.
Well, did you fix it?
Not quite yet. The AC filter problem is simple fix. Just need to replace the filter. I have some semi-used ones that are in better condition than the one that's in there, but not in perfect condition, of course. That I can bolt together to replace it.
I mean, if it's gonna be fresher air than this, and you know what stale air tastes like, you're used to it, so you have to take a second to realize, yeah, this is air that is more carbon dioxide than it should be, and you're getting a little lightheaded.
It'll
You're
definitely
used
be better air than this.
you've done spacewalks, so you've had real stale air. This is way better than a suit filter, but it's not great living conditions. Yeah, if you want to fix it like that, you can keep the old filter.
Sure. Probably also end up finding a proper filter to bring back.
If you come back with a real filter, I'll give you an actual payout.
The grav gen, I don't know if I'll be able to even do anything with unless I see how it's malfunctioning.
Oh, she pulls out I say a watch. It's not like we would think of a mechanical watch. It's literally just a small metal disc that is displaying the time via an electronic circuit that is just ticking over and over again. It runs off of a tiny bit of plutonium fuel that within your lifetime will not die. Here, it happens every 30 minutes or so. You also know that timepieces like this are often synced to specific locations. So it's probably synced to, because it's annoying her enough, a lot of people will sync things to shit like the grav generator goes out.
Yeah.
So in this case, it'll probably be a 30-minute timer with a number of ticks equal to however the fuck she likes to stay awake.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably how everyone in this station keeps time.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Here, it's not gonna roll over for a little while. You can borrow my timepiece. I need that back, though.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll give it back before I leave.
Yeah, it's literally just a small metal disc, and it's reading out a time, and it's at about 15 minutes now, and you see that we're at 12 on what would be hours. But because of a no unified standard, the idea of minutes and hours has kind of gone to the wayside and is up for interpretation for the person.
Mm-hmm.
The way she probably got this was there's a button on top that says set, and you just press that, and then press that again when you want it to stop setting, and it will make that into whatever the increments the watchmaker wanted. In this case, for whatever reason, the watchmaker decided that 30 minutes to an hour was the correct way of doing it. But if she had bought a different brand of watch, that could be 60, it could be 55, it could be 100, it could be 1,000, depending on just how the person thinks. 60 is most common for, like, homeworld made shit, and thus is not common for you. The most common universal standard is either 100 or 256, which is a base 10 versus a base 8 numeric system.
So, for starters, I head back to my ship to start putting that filter together.
Yep. You got a hot welder. It's not terribly hard. They're in a metal frame, so you can just hot weld them together. But it's also not great to hot weld, just in general, in an envelope.
Mm-hmm.
Hot welders are made for actual planetary atmosphere.
Yep.
If you could splurge for a cold welder, which is...
In heavens, Lord, I would not be able to for a while.
Yeah, that would be what is called Advent tech.
Mm-hmm.
In that it is a tech that is... Any tech that is so good that it becomes universal immediately is called Advent tech. Most of the tech you have is called pre-gen tech, which is the generation before the modern Advent tech.
The stuff that is now kind of easily found, but not quite, because you
Yeah.
have to go to the scraps to end up finding it to begin with.
Yep, it's shit. In our case, it's shit from the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Advent
Although I'd
tech is...
also say shit from the 80s would also fit.
Yep, shit from anywhere from 1910 to 1990, technically. With the advent of phones, Walkmans would absolutely be pre-gen tech.
Yeah,
The radio in the bar is definitely pre-gen tech.
no doubt.
Most of this place is pre-gen tech. You've seen the modern advent grav generators are the size of a dime and can generate the gravity for an entire battalion.
Gotcha.
That being said, you've heard stories of that getting hit. And you know that there is a graveyard about a system away that is from one of those new advent grav generators wiping 2 entire armadas.
That is probably a major rumor that I would have known of.
Yep.
How long would you say this takes to weld it together? Give or take.
Honest question, how much is your character welded? Have you taken your ship Have you taken your ship in for repairs, or have you been welding your ship yourself?
Most of the time welding the ship myself for smaller portions, smaller tears, smaller scrapes that actually harm hull integrity. For anything larger, like a broken wing, if not the landing system, I would end up taking it in for repairs.
Okay. You don't have wings. Wings are an atmosphere thing. You are basically flying a box with a thruster at the back. In your case, repairs would probably be for either comms consoles or like computer shit or the thruster itself.
Mm-hmm.
The hull is just, you get your suit, you go out, and you just weld it together. You get a flat bit of scrap iron, you slap it on, you weld it together.
That's most likely the most welding experience I have.
If that's the case, about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Do you do it in the envelope for the station or in your actual ship?
That is the question.
Or do you go for a walk and do it?
I think I do it in the in my ship itself.
Okay. You know that this will fuck your filter integrity a little bit, but you're also used to doing it. So you're gonna be used to the fumes already. It's not hard, it's just a line weld here, a line weld there, and you've made a flat plate of filters. You got about 5 more minutes before the grav generator goes out.
I proceed to take it over to the thing to change out the filter, and proceed to kind of prepare myself for the grav generator to malfunction to see how it ends up doing so.
Alright, as you get there, you start pulling out the filter, and you kind of intentionally sync it with the grav generator going out so that you can lug this heavy-ass filter.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're pulling out the old filter, the grav generator goes out, and you watch as the blue orb just goes out for a second. It occurs to you that this is not the generator failing, this is the power source for the grav generator failing. It's probably been doing this for 30 years, and it's probably going to do this for another 30 before it goes out entirely. But there's no quick repairs you can do besides getting a grav core. And grav cores take special...
Not something simple.
Grav cores take special equipment to generate and contain. And you would have to find an old-style grav core.
Yeah, so after figuring that out, and replacing the filter...
Yep, the hardest part for replacing the filter is actually just pushing the new one in, because it's, you know, a big lug of synth cotton and metal.
I managed to line it up with the insertion, and as I wait for the gravity to re-enable itself, that is when it gets shoved down.
Okay, it starts... There is a stutter for a second where you smell... There is a specific rotten egg smell that we associate with, like, natural gas that is just an additive that is added to natural gas This algae makes that to tell you when the filter is going out. So for a good couple seconds while you're swapping it out, you'd get hit with this rancid smell. But as you slot it back into place and hold your breath for long enough for it to recycle properly, yeah, it's a little fresher. You can feel your headache starting to go away that you didn't notice was there before.
Probably due to the buzz from the beer.
No, dude. No, you're still buzzed. You're still buzzed. There was an ache in the back of your head from the increase in carbon dioxide.
Mm-hmm.
And you're so used to this by now because it's a common occurrence in anywhere with a shitty air generator or air filtration system that you don't notice it until it goes away.
Gotcha. After replacing it, I head back to the bar to let them know that the filtration system has been swapped and hand them back their timer.
Thank you. You can keep the old part and any other parts you find in the engineering room. Other than that, I can't give you shit. Sorry.
That's understandable. It's not like you had much that you could hand over anyway with all that's going on.
But it is better. Thank you.
That grab core, it's the power source that's having issues.
Damn.
I estimate it's got about like another 30 years before it fully goes out.
Yeah, but we're gonna be
decreasing
bubble
its
floating
levels.
by then. Okay, I'll talk to the dock master and we'll ship out. That's gonna suck. You know that it's not uncommon for a place like this to just disappear when one of the parts that's irreplaceable is gone. They might leave the platform behind and maybe the shells of the buildings, but they'll basically rip out everything that is useful in it, pack it into a ship. Probably one of those containers has an engine that you don't know about, and just send it somewhere else. Either it'll be sold for scrap or it'll be all tacked on to another station.
Oh, now about that request for a delivery, though. You still want me to do it?
I mean, if you can get food, I'll pay you when you get back. Can't pay in advance, but I'm sure the quartermaster will pay for food.
Alright. I'll also see if I can get a proper filter as well.
Alright. You sublight or are you a light traveler?
Can I get a difference between those two?
Sublight is actual physical engines that push you through space. A light traveler is warp space from Star Trek. Both have their ups and downs. Warp space fucks with a lot of things in both biology and mechanics while it's running, and sublight takes forever to get somewhere. If you are a light traveler, you are going to have to maintain your ship very delicately, and if you are a sublight, it's going to take you literal years to get back here. And she fully expects either, by the way. She fully expects if you are a sublight traveler, she's asking for food because they will run out of food in like 15, 20 years. And for a sublight, it's not uncommon to just conk yourself out in cryosleep and appear in a new location after a good 1,000+ hours of sitting in cryo. Warp, however, it's not uncommon for people to just go into warp and never come out. What exactly the threat of warp is, there are stories from giant monsters to implosions to it's just people going mad from seeing the warp itself to it's not actually a problem and people just don't maintain their ships and they're freaked out by superstition.
So, I want to say that my ship is capable of warp, sublight, but I mostly end up doing light.
That is not an option. Either you are a light traveler and your ship is specifically designed for hitting warp speeds, or you are a sublight and you are specifically designed for a cryosleep long haul.
Okay.
They are very different ship designs.
Okay. Not the cryosleep one.
Okay, you are going to be a light traveler. All right, then I'll see you back here in a little bit. Nearest warp station is that way, I think. She takes a second to adjust for where the station is in orbit, and then points at a star.
All right.
If you got a star map, it'll be 37 BAB, I think, or If you have a native star map, it might be Karlnax.
I think I have a native star map.
Okay. Then you have a very nice and very detailed and unreadable star map that you have spent your entire time with this thing trying to just figure out what the fuck it says.
It's one that I salvaged off of another ship.
Yep. It's probably the same ship you got your warp engine from. It's probably what was the original version of your ship that you have strapped Terran shit into to make it habitable for a Terran.
Yeah.
But it's warp that's thousands of years out of date.
Mm-hmm.
You also know that Terrans don't often use warp ships. It's not terribly uncommon for a naturalized Terran to use a warp ship, but every single homeworld ship is a sublight, and most old Terran technology is sublight.
Yeah, I can imagine the reason why I ended up having this ship over sticking with sublight is cryosleep freaks me out. 2, I'm going to die anyway from something. Might as well be from my own choices here.
Yep. All right. Anything else you want to do in this stop before you move on?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to... Do you think they'd care if I take a look at their inventory catalog that he was offering to sell me?
He'll have it posted on a board. You could probably walk in without disturbing him and go look.
Yeah, that's what I proceed to do.
It's a bunch of junk. It's old parts for ships you have never heard the model or make of. It's old parts for stations that don't exist anymore. It's chairs and prefab home shit and a stock of food for about 15 years. Most of it would, for you, just be scrap metal. For a machine world, a lot of it could be processed into specific types of scrap metal. But for you, it's just scrap metal. You don't even know what type of metal it is. The only real notable thing is in the inventory, it lists derelict warp drive. And that's something like ridiculous, like 10 million credits.
Yeah. No, derelict means old or scrapped, if I remember correctly.
It means not usable. Derelict specifically means it will not do its job. That's why dereliction of duty is a thing.
Gotcha. That is just me trying to make sure I remember the term correctly.
Yep.
After taking note of what they even have for sale, I head back and take off.
Fair enough. Before you go into warp, is there anything you do? You have a good couple minutes on your personal timepiece where you have to pull away from any given station before you can hit warp, or you will just fold the station in half.
I do a few checks. I check on the filtration system after, what I had to do earlier. What I chose to do earlier. I didn't have to. I chose to.
Okay.
I check the fuel gauge.
Yep. Your fuel gauge is technically full, but your actual tank doesn't hold nearly as much as you hold in your cargo hold.
Mm-hmm.
But you go and look and you have 4 more rods, each about a pound, besides the rod that's currently in. And they are giant metal canisters. The whole thing weighs about 10 pounds to hold 1 pound of fuel.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And the way it works is you just pull one out, shove one in, get going. For you, that means you have maybe 5 minute tops, and then you gotta let your engine cool down, swap out your fuel, take a break, eat lunch, hop again. You are driving what is known as a puddle jumper.
All right.
You know, there are bigger ships that can go the span of the entire current galaxy in one hop. And those are either Imperial shipping containers, which ship entire foundry worlds worth of materials all at once, or battleships.
All right.
Okay. You eyeball it, you judge it, you go look at your map, and there's one that you think says the word she said, but it's and it's in generally the direction, but you're not sure what the fuck it actually says. You hit that, which, by the way, your map is a full 3D display of all stars within a good radius, and you just hit it, and your engines will align slightly to warp there. And even if you were to hit it in only one jump, your engine would cut before it would ever get close to a object. Otherwise, you could have phasing issues where you just appear in the middle of something.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that runs your engine itself and the timing when it phases in and out is one of the newer parts, because you make sure that is working. You get all set up. You don't even need to sit down because it's not going to be that long of a trip. You hit the button and everything goes white for a second as you are pulled faster than the speed of light through space. And that's our show for tonight. Join us next time as Wolf continues trucking in space.